I mentioned before that we did some great watch parties over the summer, and a few of you, maybe a lot of you, raised your hand and said you were there. A few weeks ago, we also had a great guest, and that was conservative talk show host Bob Frantz. Who here is a fan of Mr. Bob Frantz? Man, he tells it like it is, doesn't he? He's phenomenal. You know what? Why don't we just bring him out on stage? What do you think? I'd like you to come to your feet and raise to the Strongsville GOP welcome to Mr. Bob Frantz of the Bob Frantz Authority.
Thank you very much, everyone. This is an unexpected event for me. I was contacted yesterday by Shannon, who asked me, would you be willing to come and speak to 600 rabid, patriotic Americans? And I said, well, twist my arm. Okay, if that's what you need. I've been very excited about this for a long time, as so many of you are, especially when you start to see the list of candidates and some of the biggest, brightest, rising voices in conservative America who are going to be here, like the headliner later on today, Candace Owens. And I said, if I can be a part of this, absolutely I will. But you know what? I don't know where I put it. Anybody have a mask I can borrow? No? Sorry, I was channeling my inner Joe Biden there for a moment. On, off, indoor, outdoor, I don't know. As long as we're channeling our inner Joe Bidens. I really don't like those masks, and here's the reason why. I love the smell of freedom in the morning. And I don't know about you, but I can't smell freedom through one of those face diapers. We are here at a summit. Summit is a dual word. It has two meanings, like many do. One, of course, is a conference, a gathering, a discussion, a panel, kind of like what we have. Summit has another meaning, though, as well. The second meaning is the peak, the highest point of something. Typically a mountain, but the highest point of something. And that's why we are all here. We are all here because we are aspiring to return this country to the greatness that we have all seen that it can have, that it can be. The peak of liberty, the peak of freedom, the peak of American exceptionalism. We are ascending to the summit. We're not there now. We got knocked down a few pegs back in November for different reasons. And in fact, before that as well, when the Democrats took control of the Congress and when the Democrats won the Senate in the runoff elections in Georgia, we got knocked down a few pegs. But I can tell you this, I am damn sure not done climbing. I don't know about you. And I do know about you because you're here. Before I get into the more specific and important points facing our country today, I know it's a long way from here, but I know that Israel is in the hearts of Americans, and I want to make sure that we all share the same message, and we send it through prayer, we send it through our thoughts, we send it, if we can, through social media, that America is not the only country that deserves the right to defend itself when it is attacked again and again and again. We pray for our Israeli friends, all Israelis, not just Jewish Israelis, all Israelis. And for those who don't quite understand this, I'll say what I said on the radio. If you are living in your home and your next door neighbor is constantly firing guns at your house, you pretty much have a right to fire back to stop them from killing your family. That's what Israel is facing on a regular basis. That's why we support them. I want to share with you some words that are not mine. And if you have not been paying attention to the news, you won't believe whose they are. These words are, and I quote, "The rule is now simple. Get vaccinated or wear a mask until you do. The choice is yours." End quote. So I can tell you do know who those words came from. Do you know if I read that quote to you from a history book and attributed it to Stalin, you wouldn't blink, would you? If I attributed that quote to Mao or to Mussolini or to Castro or to Kim Jong-il or his fat little son Kim Jong-un, if I attributed it to any world dictator, any authoritarian dictator, you would say, not surprised. The people in those countries have to do what the dictator says. And if he says, take that shot of an experimental drug into your arm, or be faced to wear a face diaper for the rest of your life until you agree to take that, that's what they would have to do. But it wasn't one of those communist or fascist dictators. Those words came from the current President of the United States. I don't know what country he thinks he's running, or what country he thinks that Kamala is running. But I cannot believe that those words came on the Twitter account, specifically the POTUS account, on Twitter and on Facebook, attributed to Joe Biden. I asked you to ponder this. If those words came from the POTUS account 6 months ago, how do you think that would go over? For 4 years, they called our 45th president a dictator. They called him Hitler. They called him a tyrant. All Donald Trump tried to do was give you the opportunity to be what God made you. Free. That's it. If President Trump, who did support the vaccines, of course, for crying out loud, without President Trump and his administration, an Operation Warp Speed and an unprecedented partnership between public and private entities to create what they hope would be the lead to the end of the pandemic, we wouldn't even have this opportunity to say, my body, my choice. President Trump created it, made it happen, took it, and encouraged it. But he never told you, you don't have a choice. He never told you, take it or never show your full face in public again. If he had, I cannot imagine, I think the headquarters in Atlanta of CNN would have internally combusted. Spontaneously internally combusted. And yes, that would be a good thing. But I think this is such an amazing thing. The irony of this is the uproar that would be there if President Trump had ordered such a thing. I know somewhere right now there is probably a Saturday morning gathering of liberal Democrats, i.e. Marxists, all gathering together to do something similar to what we're doing right now. Except instead of talking about liberty and freedom to make a choice as to whether or not you want to become vaccinated, or to make a choice as to whether or not you want to wear a face diaper, they are ranting and livid right now at their hero. They're livid that Joe Biden would have directed his CDC, because I have no doubt that he did. It was either Joe Biden or the AFT, because they seem to run the CDC. Those who don't know, the American Federation of Teachers pretty much now write the scripts for the CDC. But Joe Biden collaborating with the CDC to take the distraction off of everything else that's going wrong in this country to say, we got to make these people happy. Let's do something here. And it's all right, if you've been vaccinated, you don't have to wear them. And you don't have to stay 6 feet apart from people. And you don't have to limit your occupancy in churches and so on and so forth. As long as you're vaccinated, you can do all of those things. But in these Marxist meetings that are going on right now as they talk strategy for the 2022 elections, they're gathered together. Well, technically they are gathered apart. They're 6 feet apart. They don't do what we're doing here right now. But they're angry that Joe Biden gave people a choice, or rather, that the CDC is giving people a choice. If you're fully vaccinated, you don't have to wear them. And their anger stems from the fact that we don't know who is who. We don't know who is vaccinated and who isn't. This is going to lead to people who are unvaccinated proclaiming that they are vaccinated, and they're going to be next to us and we won't even know it. And those little cootie things are going to come at us and we won't even know. And they want a vaccine passport. They want you and me to show our papers. These proponents of their own political propaganda have been fear-mongering so long that they have become addicted to it. They are addicted to their own fear. You really have to listen to some of these. I want to read a couple of quotes from some of the COVID Karens that are screaming about the masks, the mask mandates being semi-lifted. A selection of Twitter quotes under a heading of COVID cultists go berserk after CDC updates mask guidance. One blue checkmark Marxist said, "Y'all couldn't pry my mask off with a crowbar. Just saying." Not going to try. Probably don't want to see anyway. Another one said, "Now that I've been masking over a year and I see the enormous benefits, parentheses, haven't gotten sick, no allergies, warm face in winter, no cat calls all year." Apparently you've never heard of a scarf. "You will have to literally pry this mask off my face because I'm not giving it up ever." And finally, this one stuck out to me. "You will have to pry this mask off my cold, dead face. I'm fully vaccinated, but there's still a lot of unvaccinated, mouth-breathing Neanderthals out there." I've got two responses to that. Number one, how would we have to pry it off of your cold, dead face? I thought that mask is what was saving your life. How could you be dead? You're going to survive. You've got a piece of paper over your face. But number two is, I don't want to take a crowbar and pry it off of anybody's face. I don't want to pry it off of anybody's cold, dead face. I don't want you to give it up if you don't ever want to give it up ever. Because what did I tell you I like the smell of in the morning? Freedom. If you want to cover your face and live the rest of your life like a house cat sitting inside your safe, warm home, looking out the picture window at life passing you by, go ahead. That's the beauty of freedom. That's better than you being in my restaurant, yelling at me and telling me to make you safer by giving up my own freedom. You know, leftists, generally speaking, are the party of my body, my choice. And yet, when it comes to my own health and my own immune system, and whether I want to breathe in recycled carbon dioxide for 8 hours a day or oxygen, I choose oxygen and they tell me it's not my body and my choice. I had a friend. We'll get to the shot. I had a friend message me 4 days ago, it was like Tuesday, said, Bob, I am totally with you, and I am totally pro-life, and I am totally pro-choice when it comes to masking, but I've got friends who say, how can you say my body, my choice when you are pro-life? You don't give women the choice. He said, how would you answer them? Because I don't know what to say, because I don't want to be hypocritical. And I respect that. I don't either. And my answer to him was an obvious one. And you probably already know the answer. When it comes to an unborn child, and when it comes to a mother trying to decide my body, my choice, the element that is missing there is that there are two bodies. And one of those bodies, actually both of those bodies get to have a choice. And since we can't hear from the one inside of you expressing that their choice is to, live, then we have to express that for them and err on the side of they probably want to live. And if you have any doubt about that, let's pretend that it's 2 months after you give birth to that child. That child still can't tell me its choice. That child can't express to me its desire to live. But we, humanity, God, tell us that that child does have a right to live, and we will speak on its behalf until it can speak on its own. When it comes to covering my very big and loud mouth with a face diaper, or when it comes to taking an experimental drug cocktail that is literally called experimental in its title, there is no second body here. This is my body. It's my choice if I want to eat the cauliflower or the cheese fries. And sadly, I'm here to report that I choose the cheese fries just about every time. But you know whose business that is? You know whose body that is? That's mine, and yours is yours. And whether you want to take a shot, whether you want to run the risk, because there are risks, no matter what they're trying to tell you, there are risks. And if you don't believe that, then check with the over 4,000 people who are reportedly, who have died after receiving the COVID vaccine. Check the VAERS statistics and the federal CDC government website. These are things you're not supposed to know. These are things that we're not supposed to report. And these are things that need to be thought about and considered before you are forced to take something, and more importantly, before you are forced to delineate to other people whether or not you have taken something. I want to use this opportunity to advocate for something you probably have heard of in the state of Ohio. House Bill 248 has been introduced. No, that sucked. House Bill 248. Has been introduced by Jennifer Gross, State Representative Jennifer Gross. It has apparently 12 to 15 co-sponsors. It needs to triple that immediately. And that's where you come in. Because we need to do more than just get together on a Saturday morning and cheer. We need to get active, and we need to make sure that every member of the Ohio House and Senate is on that immediately. House Bill 248, for those who do not know, not only would ban any sort of government-mandated vaccine passport or proof, ID card, QR code on your phone, chip implanted into your wrist, anything else. You would not be mandated by the government to show that you have been vaccinated in order to avail yourself of goods and services and employment in the state of Ohio. But what makes 248 more important is that it also bans private companies, employers, businesses from doing the same thing. It's the most incredibly important bill that has come down here, even more important than Senate Bill 22, which I'll get to in a second, which is leading to the lifting of the mandates here sooner rather than later. But it's the most important because, I don't know if you know, but the Cleveland Indians, for example, are giving $5 discounts to vaccinated people who can show their vaccinated papers. So if you come to the Indians ticket window unvaccinated and your friend next to you is vaccinated, you pay $20, he pays $15. Yes, that is discrimination, 100%. But what 248 would do, House Bill 248 would do is make sure, because if it doesn't pass, the next logical step for the Indians, for your favorite restaurant, for RTA, for whatever services, especially in crowded places that you may want to take advantage of, the next logical step is you need to show us your vaccinated papers just to get into the door. You don't show us your vaccinated papers, you're going to have to watch from the plaza. You're not coming in. That would be next. Now, I'm not casting aspersions on the Indians. This is going on everywhere. But House Bill 248 would stop them from denying you access. Most importantly, they have tweaked the language in the last week or so. And the better language, the stronger language of House Bill 248 says that not only can you not be denied a job because you have not been vaccinated, not only can you not be denied entrance to a facility or a place of business, if you are working there or if you are a patron there, they cannot discriminate against you while you are there, meaning you may keep your job, the boss said, because we can't fire you for not being vaccinated and being part of the great unwashed, but you think you're getting a promotion? Nope. That promotion's going to one of our clean people. You think you're getting a better assignment? Nope. We have to employ you, but you're gonna do the most basic, unlikable jobs that we have that need to be done because we are going to entice you or force you one way or another to get that vaccine. They are emboldened by such ideas by, I don't know, people like the President of the United States, who said you will get that vaccine or you will wear that diaper until you do. They believe, those on the left, they believe that is exactly how it is supposed to work. They're going to make your life miserable. You can't eat there, shop there, travel there, fly there, or watch there without that vaccine, or you will be shamed into getting it. House Bill 248 would make all of that illegal. So if you leave here today with nothing more, and by the way, I want you to leave here with plenty more, such as ideas about what candidates you're going to support for the Ohio 16th Senate or House seat, what candidate you're going to support for Rhino Rob's Senate seat, what candidate you're going to support for the governor's seat, what mission you have and we have as conservative Republicans. I want you to leave here with a lot of very important things, but please make sure that among them, your responsibility to get to your state representative and your state senator and even other people's representatives outside of your district and let them all know, we demand that this bill pass to protect all of our rights, all of our rights. And if it isn't passed, those who voted against it will never see another term, ever, in the Ohio State House. A couple of other quick thoughts on the state of Ohio right now, and I got to check my clock here. Okay, I think we're okay. Do you have your Vax-A-Millions lottery card yet? Just when you think that that little bespectacled buffoon can't get any dumber, after destroying our state's economy, after listening to the Democrat walking, mumbling, bumbling lab coat for the first 6 months of the pandemic, after listening to her and letting her guide the state into economic ruin, businesses closed forever, others crippled to the point of just about going under, just when you think he couldn't do things any worse. Mike DeWine on Wednesday declares, going to lift all the mandates on June 2nd. Not because he wanted to, but because Senate Bill 22 passed about 2 months ago, and on June 23rd, 90 days it will have elapsed, and the General Assembly was going to vote to lift all the restrictions anyway. So that's right. And the House did its job. The Senate did its job. DeWine knew it was coming anyway, so he beat it to the punch. The next day, after China Joe with the Kung Fu grip says, you will wear those, or you will get that vaccine until, or you will wear that face diaper until you do, then DeWine says, oh, just kidding. Only unvaccinated people we're going to lift the restrictions for. So he's going along with Biden. But the worst thing of all is that 5 million of your tax dollars that came to the state of Ohio for COVID relief, instead of going to COVID relief, are going to go into a game show to give away $1 million to 5 different people. $5 million to 5 people. How is that going to stimulate? How is that going to stimulate the state of Ohio's economy? That money was sent to this state to give not to 5 people who ran off to get needles in their arms so they can be a part of the lottery. It's supposed to go to the businessmen and women who have been suffering for 14 months. So they can open back up, so that they can hire people back. And give the little troll a little credit when he did indeed end the extended unemployment insurance benefits and the supplemental to get people off of their couches and back into the workforces. So that's a good thing. But the only way that's going to matter is if businesses are there and able to hire. And that can't happen unless we take the money that was geared for them and give it to them. That's the most important thing. I'm told I've got 2 minutes left. So I'm just going to run through these and ask you very quickly how you like one-party rule so far. 120 days into the Biden presidency. Foreign agents committing cyber attacks on our infrastructure and pipelines. An immeasurable crisis at the southern border that continues to get worse because it is intended to get worse by the administration. Rising violent crime in virtually every American city because cops are retiring and they're being defunded. Thugs are being given free rein. Tax increases to pay for $6 trillion in new spending, $4 trillion more still in the works. The American dollar reduced to the value of monopoly money. Inflation rising at a pace as fast as it did during the Carter administration. Gas lines, gas shortages, gas hikes. Anybody got a $5 bill I can borrow? I need a gallon. It's pretty much where we're headed. Violence in the Middle East after 4 years of absolute silence and peace because everybody in the Gaza Strip, all of the Hamas terrorists knew you screw with Israel when Trump is on their side, you're done. Here comes weak Joe who doesn't give a crap, and suddenly we can do what we want to Israel. A Congress trying to destroy the Constitution by instituting a federal takeover of our elections, packing the court, declaring new states, a blatant power grab, and I could go on and on and on. This is what happens with one-party rule. There were a lot of chins on a lot of Republican chess back in January, weren't there? We were feeling very defeated, very negative, very hurt, very weak by the fact that we just lost control of our one fail-safe, the break wall that was the Senate. To stop Pelosi's madness, to stop Biden's madness, we'll stop it in the Senate. Then we lost both runoff races in Georgia, or at least they said we did. We were feeling, what do we do now, Bob? How do we stop all of those things that I just described? The very first speech I gave after those runoff elections, I told people, you need to understand that we just have to tread water. Don't sink. Don't give up the ship. Tread water for 2 years. Hope that a reasonable, moderate non-socialist Marxist Democrat like a mansion or a cinema won't go along with their most crazy ideas. So far, we're treading, and it's working. Now, in the next few months, we stop treading and we start swimming forward a little bit. Pretty soon, we are going to ride the tide, and we are going to ride it all the way to 22, and Americans who are watching the same destruction of this country under one-party rule that I just ran down are going to say, enough of this crap, and the Republicans are going to win the House, which we're already on our way to. We're going to take back the Senate. We're going to limit China Joe with the Kung Fu grip to being nothing but a placeholder for the final 2 years of his presidency as we continue to fight and restore this great republic. Thank you all very much. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you. I understand. We are doing questions. We are doing questions. So I understand the mic is over here. So if you've got a question and you would like me to address, I'd be more than happy to take them for as long as they tell me to stay on the stage. Hi.
Hi. Again, my name is Nancy Skur, and you stressed the House Bill 248, but the most important thing that you haven't stressed is the fact that we don't have to wait until next election to save our country. We could do it now. And what we need to do is support Convention of States. Right now, whether you realize it or not, we are gaining so much momentum. It used to be a grassroots organization, but it's not like that anymore. We're using emails, phones, Facebook, you name it. But right now, we have 15 states that already have the legislation. And the legislation we're talking about is term limits. We're talking about fiscal restraints so they can't keep increasing our national debt. And the third is to reduce the scope, the power, and the jurisdiction of the federal government. And that will save our courts. Right now, we have 15. We have 18 states that have gained so much momentum, we can actually do it fairly soon.
Can you give us a website where people can learn more about the Convention of States?
Well, what they could do is simply go out to the table. But we could save them. Right now, the state of Ohio has 91,500 votes. We need over 100,000. So I want every one of you to sign our petition. You want to save America? We have to do it now. We can't wait. We can't wait until next election. Are we going to have a country by next election?
Thank you. And I hope everybody does stop by the table there, the Convention of the States. It's that important. I've had these people on the radio before and will again. It is that important. Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just a quick question. What is your opinion, and that's a loaded kind of question, of the Maricopa County forensic audit? There's been a lot of discussion about that.
Well, my opinion is that what we learn will aggravate us. It will validate us, those of us who knew what was going on. It will not save us in terms of where we are today. The courts, including the Supreme Court, have made it very clear. I don't care what evidence you have, from what state you are bringing it, we're not hearing it. It makes it very, very difficult to use that information from those audits. I am proud of the people who are doing it. I do want to be validated. I do want people to know. It's not going to change things for now, though. What we have to do, in my opinion, is rather than trying to undo the theft of November 3rd, in my opinion, we have to make sure that it cannot be repeated in November of 2024. And that's where stopping, by the way, Senate Bill 1, HR 1, the federal takeover of elections, that's where that comes into play, and how we need to do what Georgia did and Florida did and several other states are doing, and securing and locking down the integrity of the vote here in the state of Ohio, so no more mail-in, ballot harvesting, drop boxing, nonsense, dead people voting nonsense can go on again. We know we won in Ohio, so we didn't complain as loudly as they did in states where we didn't win. But it can happen here just as easily. It can happen there if we don't lock those things down now legislatively. So that's where I look at it.
Hi, Bob. Enjoy your show in the morning. I think we're all passionate about House Bill 248, and it seems simplistic on its face. Who would want to give up our freedoms by agreeing to supporting a vaccine passport. So what is the biggest argument we would be up against when we try to fight back on this? What's the biggest argument for the vaccine passport so that I know how to counter that?
You mean what is their argument for
Right.
the vaccine passport?
Right.
Well, I mean, it's kind of what I said earlier on in my talk. Their fear is that, well, first of all, let's be 100% clear about this. Those people who are vaccinated, who are arguing in the need for a vaccine passport, do not believe in the vaccine they received. If they did, they would not fear coming into contact with somebody else who is unvaccinated.
Right.
Because I'm vaccinated, my antibodies are kicking and rolling and fighting, and I don't need to worry about it. They know doggone well, because the CDC has even admitted, just because you get vaccinated, you know what you are not? You are not immunized. You are not immune from this thing. All it does, they say, is make your symptoms a little bit less severe. So it's not an actual inoculation, so to speak. But their point is, because they know that, is that if we are unvaccinated and are in each other's company, mask-free, we know we're good, but you come bring your germs into our area and your little droplets get near us, we can still get sick. And so that's why we need to know if you've been unvaccinated. That's why you have to have a passport. So the answer to that, in my opinion, is, and you'll excuse me, mind your own damn business. Don't ask me if I have been vaccinated unless you're prepared to tell me what your cholesterol count was at your last physical. What was your blood pressure? What was your sperm count, sir? That's none of my business, is it? It's not your business whether or not I have taken an experimental shot to see what happens. It's not your business. That's the simplest answer that I can give. And by the way, it's not just my opinion, that's HIPAA's opinion. That is the ADA's opinion. It is not your business whether I got a measles vaccine, a flu shot this year, or a tetanus shot. And it sure as hell is not your business whether I got a COVID shot to combat a disease that has a 99.8% chance of recovery.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your time. I just wanted to ask you, because you were talking about the tension in the Middle East. It's not talked about, especially by the media a lot, but China has upwards of millions of Uyghur Muslims and now Christians too in concentration camps. And I just want to know your opinion on how far they're allowed to go, because I read in history books about World War II. And to me, it looks like a modern Holocaust right now in China, and the world isn't doing anything about it.
You're right. I don't know that I can really answer that question without consulting LeBron James. LeBron James and the National Basketball Association and Major League Baseball and thousands of American companies continue to prop China up by buying their goods that are created, well, the goods are created in the sweatshops in which children are forced to work 15, 16 hours a day for about a nickel an hour, all to make the cheap goods that we have that we can all buy. And they're not going to stop. The sports leagues that I just mentioned, you think they're going to turn away from a population of, what's the population of China? About 1.7 billion, I think. It's like 5 times the size of the United States in terms of population. There is too much money and too many consumers in that nation for our country, at least as it's currently led, to care about the extermination, the torture, the rape, and the concentration camp prisoners of Uyghur Muslims and certain Christians. You know how much money that is? They're not worth that much. I agree with you, young man. It is absolutely kind of the beginning stages of a new Holocaust that we said, and that everyone said, never again. It is happening. And I think under our past leadership, we had a very direct message for the Chinese that I think has been changed and erased by the new State Department. And the message by the new State Department is, carry on, CCP. Just keep that money flowing. Keep the trade alive. Keep your consumers buying what we're selling, and we will sure as heck buy your cheaply made garbage over here because that's the easiest thing for us to do. It's going to take This is a longer answer than I had planned, but I'm going to say it. The rest of the world doesn't care about that. The rest of the world won't even make China live up to the standards of the Paris Climate Accords that they helped set. They're the biggest polluter in the world. Yep. And they are in the Paris Climate Accords that Trump pulled us out of. We pulled out, and we proceeded to lower our carbon emissions every single year that Trump was in office. And we didn't have to spend billions of dollars sending it to other countries so that they can rebuild their infrastructure so they can get lower. Meanwhile, the Chinese are continuing to rise in pollution, and nobody will say anything to them. Nobody challenges China on anything. And our leadership is certainly right now not going to be the first to do that. But you're right to have an eye on it. It's just the sad reality that not enough other people do. Sir?
Hi, Bob. I'm George Satari, Monday Night Roundtable on Sister Station 1220, a little commercial. And I'd like to just point out on Article 5 Convention. Obviously, it is constitutional. It is a mechanism in the Constitution. However, just as the leftists have taken over all the institutions of government, education, media, that convention will have delegates who will strip us of our Second Amendment, our First Amendment. It will be taken over by the left and will be outwitted like Charlie Brown and Lucy as we were on January 6th. So I caution against the convention of the states. Most importantly, our representatives who have taken an oath to uphold the Constitution and vote for constitutional things and not unconstitutional things should stick to their damn oath and do what they're supposed to.
Well said, George. Thank you. Okay, and that's it. Folks, I thank you once again, everyone, for listening, letting me be a part of this very important day. You've got some phenomenal speakers coming up. Enjoy the rest of your day, and please don't forget. Oh, and I'm sorry, I did have one other thing to say. Today's Saturday, right? Traditionally, the new week starts on Monday or Sunday. So that means this is still part of National Police Week. Officers in the room, thank you all. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe and stay free.